Hello.
Then, now,
Down to the queens.
Episode number 500.
forever.
Looks like hell froze over.
Without any more further ado,
Together.
let's jump straight into the show. Hello, back to episode number, I believe, 152 of the TEW9 Challenge Run. We're here for the first In Your House special. It's deadline. Today marks the end of the transfer window, so, we've got 2.5 more hours to get any brand switches finalised before our rosters are locked in for the foreseeable future. And also now we've got 5 matches on the show, including our main event, an 8-man tag team match as the Wyatt 7 face off against the original Bloodline. We also have Dakota Kai and Candice LeRae and no DQ, no holds barred match. We have 2 championship matches, the United States Championship. Obafemi defends against Big Bronson Reed, and the World Tag Team Championship as Fraxium defend against the Patriarchy. And we have a opening match, a showcase clash between AJ Styles and the Mad Dragon, Ilya Dragunov. So without any more further ado, this isn't going to be like a full PLE, as you can see, I think I've said it in the game as, intent lesser, so it's like a lesser show, but I'll still try and make sure that they're worth watching and worth keeping track on. Plus, I don't imagine the video will be that long. So, actually, fuck it, let's do this right now. Let's Roman numeral it. In Your House 1. Oh, okay, 1. Yeah, In Your House deadline, but it won't be like In Your House deadline 1, 2, 3. It'll be like In Your House 2, Worlds Collide, for example. Yeah, but without any more further ado, let's jump straight into this show. Todd Pettengill, we have him here. He's not in the mod, so I know this is a face morpher. But when they did Takeover In Your House, they had him do the intro video for it. So like how they bring in Jesse Ventura and shit for SNME in real life, we're going to have Todd Pettengill here going over the shows of all the In Your House shows, including all the matches I just went over just a moment ago. So yeah, he then welcomed us straight into the show, and our opening match could steal the whole show, to be honest. It is AJ Styles new to Friday Night SmackDown. He said he wanted to come to SmackDown to wrestle some of the best, and he's got that tonight in Ilya Dragunov. 80, okay, disappointing. AJ's a little bit, winding down, let's put it nicely. Ilya was apparently holding, I guess it's a lesser show, Ilya didn't go as all out as he should have. Sure. Which I'm fine with, but not for Ilya. He should have that trait that is, regardless of the show quality, he gives it his fucking all. But, yeah, he doesn't, apparently. But he does pick up the win, he pins AJ with the H-bomb in 21:10, and Ilya Dragunov picking up the win over the former WWE champion AJ Styles. 76 for AJ, 86 for Ilya. So the match, not as good as I was hoping it was, but I guess because it's a lesser show, they don't go as balls to the wall as I'd have hoped. Which is weird, because they do on SmackDown and weekly TV. We got a fucking 100 rated Raw main event, but because this is a slightly less important pay-per-view, they decided to say fuck it and not try. Okay, sure. But yes, big win for Ilya, after the match. AJ gets to his feet, he applauds Ilya, he goes, there we go, that's the fight. That's the fight that keeps me going. After all these years, that's the fight that I want to see more out of the WWE roster nowadays. And then him and Ilya shake hands. AJ raises Ilya's arm, he leaves the ring to let Ilya soak in the reaction from the crowds. Big win for Ilya Dragunov here tonight. When he's RKO'd by Randy Orton. First time we've seen Randy since WrestleMania. Randy laid out Ilya and the Motor City Machine Guns on that night of an RKO. He's back here tonight and he's laid out Ilya and he just slivers straight out of the ring and through the crowd. Doesn't say anything. Doesn't, shower Ilya. He just drops him with an RKO and continues through the crowd. So yeah, Randy's been very to himself since WrestleMania. But he's decided he's going to strike here tonight. For those of you who didn't watch In Your House, Randy will be back on SmackDown next week, and you'll go, holy fuck, where did he come back? Yeah, watch these shows. That's what happens. Things happen on these shows. It's fine. In fact, John Cena versus Hiroshi Tanahashi is happening on the next one. On whatever date it was. I've just realized I've still got just the SmackDown champions on the bottom of my screen. Hold on. There we go. Then cut backstage, and Ava is with Aoi Maikawa. And she says, Aoi, you've been really impressive on SmackDown. I love the work you've been doing over there, but to say you've not been given a fair shake of things is an understatement. So, as I continue to try and revolutionize the women's division here on ECW, I've got a couple of big names I've got locked in, and they're going to officially make their debut on ECW in the coming weeks. But as this women's division continues to grow, Aoi, I'd love to have you on board. And then Aoi does agree to her deal, so a late signing for the ECW women's roster. Aoi Maikawa will be going to ECW, along with, Ava said, some other people that she's signed that she doesn't name yet. So it'll be interesting to see who she means by that. When Zoe Stark walks, she goes, Ava, you're actually doing good here today. Good work as my general manager, you see. On ECW, I was gaining the opinions and gaining the vote of confidence from many of the women in your locker room who actually want this place to be better. And I believe you're a young, aspiring woman. You want to see great women's action on your roster. That's why you're hiring great talent like Aoi Maikawa. But Aoi, you're a hell of a competitor. You're the exact sort of competitor I would love to see thrive on ECW. But unfortunately, there's not a lot of room for that. Because our spots are being taken up by these women who don't even want to be here. They just want to use this place, this industry, to get some clout. Maybe, branch off in a few years, do their own extra additional stuff off the back of being WWE superstars that don't actually want to be wrestlers. Whereas you, Aoi Maikawa, are a wrestler. So if you need any guidance here on ECW, you know where to look. And Aoi goes, no thanks. I'll do it by myself. But I do need an opponent in my debut. She sort of looks across at Ava, and Ava goes, great, I'll get it made official. Tuesday night, Aoi Maikawa has ECW debut match against Zoe Stark. So he goes, okay, yes, great time for competition to show the world how good I am. But come on, Ava, you can't reject this message forever, because you know that I'm right. You know that the ECW women's division needs to thrive again. And I'm going to be the one to make it happen, whether Aoi wants to listen to me or not. '84, we'll take that. WrestleMania rematch, Big Bronson Reed against Obafemi. The ring reinforced this time, but the ring doesn't break again. This time we do get the clean winner as Obafemi defeats Big Bronson Reed in 14:57 with the Fall from Grace powerbomb to make defense number 2 of his United States Championship. 79 for Oba, 85 for Big Bronson Reed. So yeah, this little part of their story is over. Or so we think, because as Oba's celebrating, Bronson Reed does get up and he gets into the face of Oba again. Oba sort of shoos him away. Come on, I've already beat your ass. And they get into another brawl. Duke Hudson runs out and he tries to pull Bronson Reed away because they are friends, they have history. So Duke tries to help Bronson Reed and pull him to safety when Obafemi, he's trying to shower Damian Priest, Bronson Reed, sorry, when he turns around and somebody, you may be able to guess who, is behind him. Damian Priest throws his hand out, he goes for a chokeslam on Oba. Oba tries to fight it off. They get into a fight. Obviously, Damian Priest has had his issues with the Nexus and Obafemi because he's a part of the Church of Rollins. But now it seems he's looking to try and take that United States Championship from Oba. He's now trying to get involved in this, in the commotion. Bronson Reed and Duke Hudson, they sort of accidentally bump into each other. And Duke's like, hey, watch where you're going, boy. He goes, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to do it, mate, but if you get in my face again, I'll drop you where you stand because I want that title. And then eventually about 1 million security guards pull all these big guys apart. Yeah. Chaos. But Obafemi's still the champion. We then get the video package for our next match. It's Candice LeRae, it's Dakota Kai, it's no DQ. And Candice makes her way out. No, she's happy because, well, as happy as she can be for somebody who had her home raided 24 hours ago. But she comes out and she's on the mic and she goes, well, I'd hate to bring my loyal fans bad news, but we are in... Where is the Heritage Bank? Oh, now. Hold on. Heritage Bank. We are in Cincinnati, and as we all know, we're a Cleveland family, okay? So it doesn't bring me any displeasure to tell Cincinnati that our match tonight isn't gonna happen, because you saw what that thug did to me last night. That thug came to my house, attacked me in my home in front of my child, and she left my house, in the back of a police car. We're never gonna see Dakota again. We don't have thugs like that on SmackDown. And then as she's ranting, we see a police car pull up. They sort of like let Dakota out and they go, "Okay, you're still out on bail. We're still gonna get this stuff sorted out, hopefully, but you're allowed to go and have your match tonight." And Dakota goes, "Yeah, cheers." And then she walks off. No, she gets escorted to the ring by the cops. And as she gets into the ring, she still has her handcuffs on, and Candice jumps Dakota. She's still got the handcuffs on to start the match, and starts raining shots in on her. But yeah, Dakota, she's had a stern talking to after breaking into Candice's house, but I guess nothing's being pressed because we don't want her to be a criminal. And yeah, the no DQ match gets underway. 90. That's definitely a step. I think they got a 98 at WrestleMania, but again, this is a lesser show, so yeah. But, Candice is trying to throw everything she can at Dakota. She gets the steel chair, she starts wailing on her on steel chairs, and eventually Dakota will, manage to break free of the handcuffs. I don't know how, but, she does. And then, they start fighting each other. There's tables, there's kendo sticks, all of these weapons involved. And, throughout the match, you can see Candice is, trying to drive Dakota crazy. She's smacking her with the kendo sticks and come on, fight back, huh? Fight back, bitch. You're all hands last night when I was in the privacy of my own home, and you've got your chance to do it, and you're hesitant. Okay, you're a coward. She starts booting her in the face and stuff. And Dakota does eventually snap. She rains the punches down on Candice. And Candice, has a steel chair. She goes to swing it at Dakota. Dakota boots it out of Candice's hand. Hits the scorpion kick. Candice kicks out. And then Dakota does pick up the steel chair herself. And as Candice starts crawling and coming to after the boot, she has the steel chair, her head is above the steel chair, so Dakota could cave her skull in if she wanted to right now. And she sort of does just hesitate. She drops the chair. She picks Candice up. She boots her in the face one more time. And Dakota scores the pin. Dakota Kai evens up the score here. One win apiece for these two women, but yeah. 86 for Dakota, 88 for Candice. And yes. After the match, though, Dakota is celebrating her win. She goes back, and then the cop's like, "Okay, you're free to clear to go. Okay, we've seen all we need to see from you. Okay, just pay the fine and don't do it again." And she goes, "Yeah, cheers, I won't." And Candice, as she gets to, she puts her hand down the side of her mouth, and he sees blood coming out of her hands. She sort of just stares at the blood. They specifically, they don't bleed in this match, because I just want the blood for this shot where as she wipes her mouth, a little, you can see a bit of blood on the end of her finger, and she sort of just looks down at her hand, just starts laughing to herself, chuckling to herself as she leaves the ring and back up the ramp. Huh, weird. 84. Another rematch from WrestleMania for a championship, and Pharoah seemingly finally done with the patriarchy here tonight. They beat Christian and Lexis King at Backlash. They've beaten Lexis King and Dominic Mysterio tonight. But yes, accidental miscommunication from Dominic Mysterio leads to Pharoah hitting the golden ratio on Lexis King to retain the World Tag Team Championships. 65 for Lexis, 81 for Dom, 81 for Fraser, 93 for Axiom. So yeah, big retention from them. After the match, though, Christian gets into the ring. He gets into the face of Dom. He sort of just stares at him. He's got his arms folded. He's shaking his head like a disappointed father would. And he does eventually just get into his face, and he goes, "I guess I was right about you, Dom. I was the one who saved you from your old abusive fatherhood. But now, I'm starting to see why that happened, because you're useless. You can't let us down as well, time and time again, and keep getting away with it. My son, I still want to guide you to greatness, but please, apologize." And he sort of like just gets in Dom's face, and he smacks him in the face. He goes, "Apologize now, you brat!" And Dominic, looks like he wants to hit Christian back, but he doesn't. When out comes Rey Mysterio. Rey, he slides into the ring. He sort of like gets in between Christian and Dominic. Christian goes, "Look who it is. It's the deadbeat dad, huh? Jealous of the father that I am and the man that I'm making your son become. Look at him." He sort of points at Dominic. Rey turns around and looks at Dominic's face, and Dominic is, sort of just defeated at this point. Christian goes, "Look at what you created. This embarrassment, this loser who's now embarrassing your name and mine. This is all your fault." He sort of just shoves Rey away, and Christian and Lexus King leave. And Rey sort of like looks across at Dominic. Dominic sort of like awkwardly looks back across at Rey. Rey looks back across at Christian, and Christian and Lexus King just walk out. But yeah, Rey Mysterio is on Raw. This is why the ECW tag match happened on Tuesday and not on the pay-per-view, because I knew the window was closing, so I needed to do that before Rey left. But yes, Rey Mysterio is now here on Raw, and he's, well, I don't know. I don't want to say saved Dominic, because he hasn't really, because he wasn't really in danger, but confronted Christian as Christian confronts Dominic. Yes. Speaking of families getting ripped apart, and also speaking of trades, Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa, they're in the concourse waiting for the Usos when the Usos walk up to them. And Jay and Jimmy like dap up Solo and Jacob. And Jay goes, "You know what, Us? We were already going to beat these guys tonight. But now it just became even bigger, became even more important. Tonight, this is our last match as a family, Us." And Solo goes, whoa, what do you mean by that, Jay? What do you mean by that? It's because, Us, me and Big Jim, we're going to SmackDown. We're going to SmackDown as part of the transfer window, Us. We need a fresh start. We need to get away from all this family drama. But we had to stick around last time because Jay was the champion and it was down to us to hold the fort down, Us. But look at me, Jacob, look at me. He sort of like looks at you, like pats Jacob Fatu on the shoulder, like looks him in the eye and goes, "It's your family now, Us. It's yours to hold down. You're going to hold the fort down by yourself. You don't need us anymore, Us. But we're going to do this one last time as one big family. We're going to go out there. We're going to annihilate those fake family, found family losers, the Wyatt 7. And we're going to bring joy for one final time to the original bloodline. 4 letters, 1 word. Fatu." And then the Usos theme hits. Jimmy and Jay go out. But yes, the Usos are on their way to SmackDown too. So this really is the end of the bloodline. Roman's on Raw by himself and in a hospital somewhere. Jimmy and Jay going to SmackDown. Jacob on Raw on ECW all by himself. Unfortunately for them, the Wyatt 7 pick up the win. Uncle Howdy pins Jacob. Oh, didn't change his fucking moveset and he's still using the Bulldog. Okay. Uncle Howdy pins Jacob with the Sister Abigail. in 16-19 to win the match for the Wyatt 7. 55 for Preston Vance, 66 for Kip Sabian, 58 for Eric Rowan, 71 for Uncle Howdy, 77 for Solo, 85 for Jimmy, 87 for Jay, and 84 for Jacob. But yes, the family ripped apart. The Usos go on to SmackDown, Solo and Jacob. I forgot to mention Solo before, he's still on ECW as well. But yes, deadline is over, the window is shut. You know, other than those 2 women that Ava spoke about, or I say 2 women, we know it's more than 1, we don't know the exact number, but she signed more women to BCW for the ECW women's division that we haven't yet learnt about, because obviously they're not ready to debut or whatever, but other than that, these rosters are now complete. And yeah, I'll probably do a community post with all of the finalized rosters on them after the deadline has shut completely, because I didn't, do the visual draft this year because I needed... I don't know if I said this on a video before, it's been a long time since I've recorded, but I didn't do the actual draft this year because, as you've seen, I've needed people to sort of come in and out of brands over the next month. So instead of just, wrapping things up and doing a solid draft where one day they all just move over, I figured I'd do, the sprinkling thing of, a couple here, then when I need to move this person over to another show, I can do that, and then, yeah. But yes, draft will probably be back next year. It's just the way that I had planned out to this year, it felt easy to do it this way. But yes, that ends the show. Preston Vance Kip Sabian was slightly overused, but decent little show. Again, not a full-on pay-per-view. It's this is the sort of thing you can expect. A couple of decent-sized things happen. Other than the announcement of the trades, Randy's back. 4 men brawled over the US title. Dakota and Candice did their thing. Rey Mysterio's on Raw, and he's doing stuff with Dominic again. But yeah, I'll see you next time for Raw, as Raw continues to build towards Bad Blood. See you then.